Welcome to New Zealand. There are still places on Earth where nature feels untouched. Not controlled, not overwhelmed, not consumed by noise. New Zealand is one of those places, a country where mountains rise directly from the sea, where roads disappear into endless valleys, and where silence still feels like part of the landscape itself. From above, it almost looks unreal, like a world designed for cinema rather than ordinary life. But beneath its beauty, there is something deeper. A rhythm shaped by isolation, a culture built around nature rather than against it, and a way of life that feels increasingly rare in the modern world. Because in New Zealand, the landscape is not just scenery, it is identity. Located in the southwestern Pacific Ocean, New Zealand sits far from almost everything else. Two main islands, surrounded by vast stretches of open sea. And perhaps because of this isolation, the country evolved differently. The mountains remained wild, the lakes stayed impossibly clear, and nature continued to shape everyday life in ways much of the world has already forgotten. Here, cities feel smaller, roads feel quieter, and even time seems to move differently. Not slower, but calmer. Few places on Earth contain this much diversity in such a small space. Snow-covered mountains, ancient forests, volcanic valleys, glacial lakes, rolling green hills, and coastlines shaped by centuries of wind and water. In the South Island, the Southern Alps dominate the horizon like a wall separating worlds. Massive peaks rise above mirror-like lakes, while waterfalls disappear into untouched valleys below. Further north, the landscape changes again. Volcanic activity still shapes the earth beneath the surface. Steam rises from hidden geothermal fields, and glowing caves reveal underground worlds that feel almost impossible to explain. New Zealand does not reveal its beauty all at once. It unfolds slowly, road by road, valley by valley, silence by silence. To truly experience New Zealand, you have to drive through it, not rush through it. Not simply arrive at destinations, but move through the landscape itself. because here the journey often becomes more memorable than the place you are trying to reach. Long empty roads stretch between mountains and coastlines. Tiny towns appear unexpectedly between endless fields. And for hours, you may see more sheep than people. There is a feeling of freedom here that is difficult to describe. Not the loud kind, not the dramatic kind, but a quieter freedom, the kind that comes from space, from distance, from nature still being larger than human activity. In many parts of the world, nature exists beside modern life. In New Zealand, modern life exists inside nature. People hike not as an escape, but as part of everyday culture. Lakes are protected with extraordinary care. Trails remain clean despite millions of visitors. And respect for the environment feels deeply embedded into national identity. Part of this connection comes from Maori culture, the indigenous people of New Zealand, whose traditions have long emphasized a spiritual relationship with the land. Here, mountains are not simply mountains, rivers are not simply rivers. They carry meaning, history, ancestry, and perhaps that is why New Zealand feels different. Because nature here is not treated as background scenery, it is treated as something alive. Even New Zealand's cities feel connected to the landscape around them. Auckland spreads between harbours and volcanic hills. Wellington sits between mountains and sea, where strong winds shape daily life as much as architecture does. But unlike many global cities, there is little pressure to appear overwhelming. Little need to dominate the skyline. Instead, there is balance. Glass buildings coexist beside nature rather than replacing it, and within minutes, urban streets often give way to beaches, forests, or open coastlines. It is modern life without completely disconnecting from the natural world. There is another feeling New Zealand carries quietly: isolation, not loneliness, but distance from the noise of the world. Perhaps that is why so many people describe visiting New Zealand as peaceful, because here, the world feels less crowded, less aggressive, less overwhelming. Even the weather adds to the atmosphere. Fog rolling across valleys, rain moving slowly through mountains, clouds casting shadows across endless green landscapes. There are moments in New Zealand where it genuinely feels like time has paused, and maybe that feeling is becoming increasingly rare. There is a reason filmmakers continue returning here, because New Zealand does not look constructed, it looks untouched. The landscapes feel ancient, raw, almost too perfect to be real. And yet, what makes New Zealand cinematic is not just its beauty, it is the emotion the landscape creates, a feeling of scale, of stillness, of perspective. The kind of feeling that reminds you how small human life really is compared to the natural world around it. In many places today, nature is something people visit temporarily, a break from ordinary life. But New Zealand offers something different, a reminder that life can still exist alongside nature without constantly trying to overpower it. That silence still has value, that open space still matters, and that perhaps the most extraordinary places on Earth are the ones that still feel untouched. New Zealand is not simply a country you see, it is a country you feel, in the mountains, in the roads, in the silence between destinations, and long after leaving, that feeling somehow remains, quietly, like the landscape itself.